The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yes. Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, December 15th. Today is oh, Jesse, you're going to love this. It's National Cat Herders Day today.
No, I do not love that, actually. Sorry. Not a fan of herding cats at all.
Oh, man. I'm just
Zero.
I'm a professional cat herder, so you know what I mean?
Oh, I'm really good at it.
Yeah.
I don't love it.
Oh, man.
I've herded many cats in my day.
Mm-hmm. I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
You've been there.
That's what I'm saying. I've witnessed this, bro. I've witnessed this. Yeah. Exactly right. Exactly right. Gary, do you like herding cats?
Professionally, maybe a little bit, but in reality, I live in a very rural area, a jungle, so I have a lot of cats. I feed and I watch and
interesting.
So it's different, but the herding of cats, I think I'm pretty good at that actually from a business perspective.
I think it's a fine art.
Yes,
it is an art.
The problem
and you do have to do it.
The problem is, and this is why it's a pejorative term, where Jesse probably says I don't want to do it, is most of the cats don't want to be herded. Mm-hmm. So it's a thankless job.
Ah, man, herding the cats, bro. Herding the cats. Gotta, you know what I'm saying? The cats run the internet, they say.
Okay.
That's true. Well, it's also, since it's National Cat Herding Day, since it's National Cat Herding Day, it's also National Wear Your Pearls Day.
Tough to follow.
You don't follow that? You don't follow that? Really?
No, I'm saying I don't have any pearls, so I can't participate.
Fair enough. But you do have the family jewels, right, Gary?
There's too many jokes to be made.
Oh, man. And it's also National Cupcake Day today, you guys.
Jason, did we lose you? I can't hear you.
What do you mean you can't hear me? It's National Cupcake Day. Jesse, stop cupcaking.
Oh, sorry. My technical stuff is going all awry over here for some reason.
It must be that hotel
say it again.
Thing to be in.
Yeah, my Christmas background is the quickest one I could find. That's actually Spokane. This is my local mall. I got a little Gap sign up there.
Little holiday cheer over here, huh?
That's it.
Fair enough. It's probably the most important part about today. Do you want to know what it is?
What is it?
Today is the National Bill of Rights Day. Today. That's right.
Oh, that is.
Because if we did not have the Bill of Rights, you would have no rights, and you would probably not even have your right arm, only your left arm, Jesse.
Or your right leg.
Very true. Very, 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 very true. Very true. Well, the Bill of Rights is a big, big deal. You know what I mean? That's what gives us the Second Amendment and, you know what I'm saying? All kinds of stuff, bro. Bill of Rights, your unalienable Bill of Rights, and liberty to, you know what I'm saying, for life, liberty, and happiness, all of those great things.
They are inalienable.
That's right. There we go. I always forget that word. Thank you.
That would be that would be the pursuit of happiness. Not everyone guaranteed it.
That is true. That is true. You are only promised the pursuit of happiness, Gary. That is 100% true. That's right. That's, you know, people can be as miserable as they want. They have every right to be that. Well, on that, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.high9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And I do want to send a special thank you out to Sean Savaje for filling in for me last week in my absence. I missed you guys. I hope you guys are all doing well. And also, too, please remember that if you cannot find us on YouTube, make sure that you are subscribing to us on X as well as Rumble, because that's where we will be in the event that you cannot find us on YouTube. But nonetheless, I have some interesting news. And where is Michael? Michael needs to hop in, especially for this story today, you guys. Maybe I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to switch up my storylines, and I'm going to do my first story second and my second story first. So give me 1 second. Let me fix this prompter, because I definitely want to hear Michael's take on this first story. So we're going to go to the second story. Because U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson told the GOP leadership he opposes marijuana rescheduling, but urged no public break with President Trump. That's right. U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson told the GOP leadership this week that although he opposes President Trump's plan to reschedule marijuana, he doesn't want House Republicans to publicly break with the president on the issue, according to a staffer familiar with the discussion. The comments came during a leadership meeting Johnson convened after a call with Trump on Wednesday, during which the president outlined his intent to move marijuana from Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 under federal law. The meeting included several GOP leaders, including Majority Leader Steve Scalise and Majority Whip Tom Emmer, along with multiple committee chairs. Johnson rallied the substance of his conversation with Trump to those participating in the call, informing them that the president intends to issue an executive order on cannabis rescheduling. During that meeting, Johnson made clear that he personally opposes the move, but said that a public confrontation with the White House would be unproductive and should be avoided. According to the staffer who spoke to the Marijuana Herald on the condition of anonymity, Johnson faced little pushback from leadership on his proposed approach. The behind-the-scenes exchange offers a clearer picture of how Republican leadership is navigating an issue that has long divided the party, particularly as Trump moves to follow through on a campaign promise to overhaul federal marijuana policy. And while Republican leadership has historically opposed marijuana reform, rescheduling cannabis has strong bipartisan support, both among the public and among congressional lawmakers. Recent reporting has indicated that the White House plans to direct the Justice Department and the Drug Enforcement Administration to finalize a rule reclassifying cannabis as soon as next week, bypassing the lengthy administrative hearing process that stalled similar efforts under the former Biden administration. According to reporting by the Marijuana Herald, Trump also plans to establish a federal descheduling commission that would examine whether cannabis should be removed completely from the nationwide list of controlled substances, similar to alcohol. Johnson's guidance to avoid public opposition suggests Republican leaders are weary of creating a visible rift with the president on an issue where public opinion has moved decisively. And while some GOP House members may ultimately ignore that advice and oppose the rescheduling effort anyway, Johnson's comments make clear that the House Speaker does not intend to publicly push back against the president. Well. Look at that. Huge news. Look at that. We just might get some rescheduling followed by some descheduling, and that just may be our just desserts. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Well, that's Christmas present. Trees.
Yeah.
Christmas trees.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Mr. Minardi is here.
Yeah, he made it. Michael, I have
right.
no, it's all good. My first story I really wanted you to comment on, so I waited. I did my second story first for you, Michael, just to make sure.
Appreciate you.
Yes, but man, look at this. Mike Johnson saying, "Hey, you know what? Cannabis, it's an issue, but it's not that big of an issue, and I'm not going to die on my sword on the Hill, like Senator Cory Booker did when he said, hey, if we can't get social equity provisions in place, then we're not going to pass any type of cannabis reform." And Speaker Johnson is saying quite the contrary. He's saying, hey, you know what? I'm not going to die on this hill. I don't necessarily agree with it, but at the same time, I'm not going to get in a fight with the president. If the president wants it, we're going to get it done, is what I'm hearing. What do you guys think about this little conundrum?
The best line in this whole thing, and I wish that Anthony went into it a little bit more, was this, where was it? Man, I just had it. According to reporting by the Marijuana Herald, Trump also plans to establish a federal descheduling commission.
Yes, that's my favorite part of the story too, Jesse.
That's the first I've ever heard of that, and I wish that he dove into that more. Maybe he will.
Well, there'll be future stories, Jesse. That's got to give us more to talk about on future episodes.
Yeah, that's the line that Anthony wrote in this story that really matters. If this is descheduling on the way to rescheduling, I don't know why you would do that. That's where I get a little lost.
Well, you know what? I think I could tell you why I think that is the case, Jesse. Is because rescheduling is so popular, it has enough political willpower to get it across the finish line right now. And then plus he's able to show that, hey, I'm doing what Joe Biden couldn't finish, which is, you know, optics on that are great for the president. And then also too, once they start to go through and see all the nuances of how a Schedule 3 would have to be implemented and how it would decimate the industry or whatnot, then they're giving themselves the ability to say, hey, you know what? We started to do this. We thought this was going to be the right way. So now we're going to course correct and we're just going to go to a full deschedule. You like that, Gary?
Yeah, well, you know, and the Sabres are going to win the Stanley Cup this year. So
Maybe they will.
They haven't been in the playoffs in 15 years, so you tell me. But I'm saying that while I'm a big fan of Michael Big Johnson, I don't know why he said all this. I'm not sure what the relevance is. I'm not sure that I don't see descheduling. I agree that if they're going to deschedule, why would you reschedule? Rescheduling, while it gets 280E for medical marijuana, it doesn't do anything for recreational marijuana, I don't think, and it complicates life.
It does. This is
so,
you just made my whole point right there, Gary. You just made my whole reasoning. You just done. Thank you. You just put a bow on it for me. That's exactly what's going to end up happening, because the other part of it too, Gary, is that no one is going to get 280E relief if they can't obtain a DEA license, which none of these people are going to be able to get. So guess what? Yeah, it's that's what I'm saying. So they're gonna go through with the rescheduling, see how it doesn't actually function the way that the intent of how they originally thought that it would function, right? And then they're gonna put the descheduling commission together, and they're gonna deschedule cannabis altogether. Yeah,
well, that part I don't know. The first part you're correct on.
I'm correct on all of it.
That it's a conundrum, as you said. But then if they're going to desschedule it, changes everything, and I don't see that happening right now. And I don't think Trump will do that in his current term. I mean, look what they did to hemp. I mean, you know, to be honest, Republicans were supportive of hemp because a lot of the hemp states are Republican states, and the hemp farmers destroyed, yet they weren't able to get over the fact that they didn't want intoxicants in the general public.
I think that's multifaceted and doesn't mean that the people who are pushing for the president to reschedule or deschedule aren't those same people that are pushing for the ban on the hemp companies either. So I think that's a possibility. So the one of those two, you know, they're same company handing the check saying, hey, we want you to do this and this. Save our companies, limit it to our type of companies that get to be able to sell these products. And you know, the thing with the legalization and the descheduling that maybe they'll start to look at is it's another revenue basis of tax dollars for the federal government that they currently don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see that happening under medical.
That's what I'm saying. I feel you, Michael. What are you thinking, Jesse? I see your brain moving.
Oh, well, I'm looking at a potential troll in the comments, but I'm gonna wait.
All right.
I'm gonna wait here.
Jesse's gonna come out as a regulator, apparently. You know what I'm saying?
I am the regulator. hence the little mechanic
little wrench
next to my.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well. That was fun. On that, we're gonna roll into our first commercial, and we are gonna be right back. And we are back, you guys. And all right, Michael, this is the story I really wanted to hear your thoughts on. All right, so I hope you're ready, Mr. Minardi.
I'm ready.
All right, because the U.S. Supreme Court declines to hear a challenge to federal cannabis prohibition. The U.S. Supreme Court has declined to take up the Canna Provisions Incorporated versus Barney, leaving federal marijuana prohibition intact and signaling that the justices are unlikely to revisit the issue for years to come. The decision came with the court's December orders list, ending hopes that the justices would directly address whether federal marijuana prohibition can coexist with state legal markets. By declining review, the court effectively allows existing federal law to remain in place without comment, despite the widespread legalization of marijuana at the state level. The case was brought by several state-licensed marijuana businesses that argued the federal ban conflicts with state regulatory systems and exceeds Congress's constitutional authority. The petition asked the court to resolve the growing legal and economic contradictions created by enforcing nationwide prohibition while states openly license and tax marijuana production and sales. A denial does not mean the court endorsed federal prohibition, but it does mean the justices chose not to intervene. Historically, when the court passes on a major constitutional question of this scale, it often signals a reluctance to take up similar challenges in the near future. Legal experts widely view denials in high-profile cases as a strong indicator that the court is content to let lower court rulings stand for the foreseeable future. The rejection also preserves uncertainty for state legal cannabis businesses, which remain subject to federal law despite operating openly under state authorization. Without Supreme Court guidance, conflicts between federal enforcement authorities and state legalization frameworks are likely to persist, barring any change in federal law. While the court technically retains the ability to hear a future case on the issue, the denial sharply reduces the odds of meaningful judicial review anytime soon, leaving federal marijuana prohibition unresolved at the highest level of the judiciary. Well. I think it's a good thing we're getting our 2A case heard in the Supreme Court. And, I'm not sure if this was the right one to go before him, but nonetheless, I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
This is what we said, right? We said this is probably not going to be heard. They're not going to take this up. Mm-hmm. It's very unlikely. And, of course, they didn't.
Yeah.
There's too much movement going on with cannabis and hemp. And I didn't see that the Supreme Court's going to step in and kind of be the de facto legislator, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to wait and see what shakes out with the president and with the legislation that's coming through Congress and Senate. Mm-hmm. So, and then they might take some of these cases, right? Mm-hmm. But not yet.
What do you guys say, Michael?
Yeah, I don't know. It's disappointing, I guess. I thought it was a far reach as far as the case goes and the arguments that they were making. But, I'd like to see a properly submitted Schedule 1 challenge, get up there and see what happens with that.
Maybe the Supreme Court justices know that ultimately there's going to be a descheduling commission, so there's no need for them to waste their time, seeing as how they only take so many cases a year on it, Michael. Maybe they live in the future.
That's definitely a possibility. Yeah, 100%. That's a possibility.
See, it makes
the writing on the wall.
That's what I'm saying. Makes that descheduling commission even more likely now, Gary.
Maybe.
Likely.
I kind of have been involved somewhat small with this case since they first came up with the idea at Boyd Schiller, and it's novel, but they felt very confident that they had something, and they got to a point where it appeared that they had a shot at getting certiorari. I'm not a Supreme Court scholar. I don't know the standards, but I do agree that if I were a Supreme Court justice, I don't think I would want to make this law right now, given the craziness that's going on in this country with hemp, marijuana, and rescheduling. And if the court had heard this and ruled in their favor, it would have thrown everything into a mess. And I don't know if that's a standard for not taking certiorari, but it would make sense to me.
Yeah, I really respect David Boyce. You know, I had a dinner with him before he ever created this case, when he was trying to find different operators to represent that could actually fund a case of this type of magnitude, and he was very adamant that he wanted to go to the Supreme Court and argue this. And I think he would have done a really, really good job arguing a case of this stature before the Supreme Court. He definitely is the right type of attorney to do so. So I do wish that they would have heard it just for that basis alone. But at the same time, they already agreed to take up that other case in regards with the Second Amendment rights, and so maybe they'll be able to resubmit this case in a following year, depending on the outcome. And then because if they rule positively on the Second Amendment case, I think that would give the judicial wherewithal for the Supreme Court to more consider taking up this case later in the future. And I see Michael shaking his head. He doesn't agree with me.
Yeah, I don't think really there's a correlation between the two at all. Just because the Second Amendment cases are so much based off of, the founding fathers and that constitutional right under the Second Amendment. I really think the best case to be able to get up there to challenge the constitutionality of cannabis as a Schedule I substance is just that, the Sue Cicely type. Something I've been trying to get up to the Florida Supreme Court for years in the state. In every pretty much cannabis case I argue the constitutionality of it as Schedule I substance. And, judges across the state look at me as I'm crazy, but they love the big binders I provide with them with studies, statutes throughout the country. And, you've obviously put a lot of work into this, but, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And I think even under the standard that we're all faced with fighting is a rational basis standard. Like, is there any rational basis for cannabis to still be considered as having no medical value? And when you have judges looking at it, well, it doesn't matter that there's 900,000 patients in your state with medical cannabis. It still has no medical value and belongs as a Schedule I. So, the absurdity of it is ridiculous, but I think that's, probably fundamentally the best way to go. In this case, I think, again, flips the supremacy clause on its head related to the hemp issue, right? So, we're not going to let states do this and do this, but states can do everything they want with hemp.
That might be that recent budget amendment might be. You bring up a good point, Michael. That recent budgetary amendment might be exactly why the justices decided to rule in this manner. Is they're like, hey, there's just way too many moving parts for us to take it up at this time.
Yeah, it's just like different. Yeah, each one is treated the opposite.
Interesting.
In my opinion, but
interesting. Any other thoughts on this, Gary?
No, I mean, that's what you just said is my view. I think that there's just too many variables for them to. They're supposed to make the law of the land, and I don't think they want to make the law of the land when the people have already spoken conflicting ways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts, Jesse?
Yeah. Nope, that's it. I mean, that's like I said, they're going to wait.
Yeah.
They're going to wait and see how this shakes out, and they're going to take up these cases later after there's already some direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see the Supreme Court as wanting to become. Sometimes they do this, right? They establish precedent, and when there is none, but I don't think they want to do that with this.
Well, I feel you on that, and since we have a lot of people viewing on YouTube right now, so thank you all for tuning in, and please remember that if you cannot find us on YouTube, make sure that you are subscribing to us on X and on Rumble, because if we are ever not here, we will be there. And on that, we are going to roll right into Mr. Michael Minardi. He's an attorney in the great red state of Florida, where I just happened to be visiting. He's been helping cannabis businesses, patients, and clients navigate the complex landscapes of the cannabis industry and other industries. And you can find him at his own law practice at Minardi Law. It is none other than Mr. Michael Minardi.
Hello, everyone. Good morning on the West Coast and happy high noon on the East Coast. Love this. Sweet home, Alabama.
Yeah.
Alabama officials approve marijuana dispensary licenses. Rescheduling program for sales to start in 2026. The Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission Thursday approved 3 dispensary licenses, which members of the commission hailed as a critical step toward making medical cannabis available in Alabama, nearly 5 years after the legislature established the program. We waited a long time to get to this point, and we can make a decision like this, and it's monumental. Rex Vaughn, chair of the commission, said, "It's a milestone meeting for us. So I'm tickled we can get this far." GP6 Wellness, RJK Holdings, and CCS of Alabama will receive dispensary licenses within 20 days, as long as companies pay the $40,000 licensing fee. A 4th license will be approved by the commission in late January due to a recommendation from an administrative law judge, Vaughn said after the meeting. Vaughn said multiple times during the meeting that the approval of dispensary licenses is a milestone and will lead to patients getting care they need and tax revenue for the state. It takes a while for that to come through the system, but we should be seeing revenue by springtime at the latest, Vaughn said. The Alabama medical cannabis law, enacted in 2021, allows registered physicians to recommend cannabis for about 15 medical conditions, including cancer, depression, Parkinson's, PTSD, sickle cell anemia, chronic pain, and terminal diseases. The approved product forms are restricted to tablets, tinctures, patches, oils, and gummies, only peach flavor, with raw plant material and smokable forms remaining prohibited. People who suffer from the qualifying conditions must get approval from their physician and enter the patient registry in order to buy products at a dispensary. Litigation has also held up access to medical cannabis. Some firms sued the commission for not being awarded a license, citing a discriminatory process. Another case involved 5 parents that sued the commission over delays in access to cannabis, which was dismissed in August. As of Thursday, the commission has distributed licenses for 9 cultivators, 4 processors, 4 transporters, and 3 dispensaries. There is also 1 patient in the registry, Vaughn said. Vaughn was not able to give the specific timeline for when the product will be available for purchase, but estimated spring 2026. Earlier this year, AMCC Executive Director John McMillan had expressed hopes for getting medical marijuana patients in the hands by the end of 2025. We got to get our physicians certified quickly. All those things are being staged as we talk about it right now, and we'll see how the wintertime goes, Vaughn said. Hopefully all these things will fall in place quite quickly. Sam Blackmore, a pharmacist and member of the commission, said in an interview after the meeting that cannabis can help relieve symptoms without side effects like nausea and vomiting. Everyone focused on Delta-9, but there are over 120 chemicals in the plant that's able to give this full body experience, allowing patients to really find relief when it comes to nausea and vomiting and spasticity. I'm not going to say cannabis is a cure-all, but the big thing with getting this done today is that at least folks that call in sick and shut in the state, they can get relief, Blackmore said. Blakemore. They can't get relief from opiates. They can't get relief from gabapentin. They can finally have an opportunity to try something Supporters of medical cannabis attended the meeting Thursday. Amanda Taylor, a medical cannabis patient advocate, has been part of the commission since 2021. She suffers from multiple lesions on her brain and spine. I'm absolutely elated today because we're on the cusp of having a working program, she said in an interview after the meeting. Well, Alabama, you're not going to put you in the slammer anymore once you become a medical marijuana patient. It's really sad to see. I think this is the second program that we've spoken about in the past few weeks that's taken 5 years to get up and running. This is medical. Virginia was legalization trying to be pushed through. But at least patients will hopefully at some point in time be able to get the relief that they deserve and need, especially those terminal illnesses and people getting, relief from nausea. They should really be able to try to open this up immediately and get people growing ASAP so people can get the medicine that they deserve as human beings.
Alabama, hold on, Michael. You said that they only have one patient in the registry, just one, uno más.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I guess why would there be any if there was never anywhere to get something? So,
man, that's rough. That's a rough number to deal with. One person in their patient registry.
Well, yeah, it is. But again, why are you going to sign up for, as to be a patient if there's nowhere you can actually get the cannabis at all? So,
well, because I think if you signed up for their registry and there was no place for you to get it, you would have a valid legal defense if you were caught with it, Michael. Because you're like, hey, you know what? I've signed up for it. I'm part of the program. This proves that I'm a medical patient. Yada yada yada, da 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 da. And because the state has been slow to be able to provide any type of access, therefore it forces me into the illicit market. So therefore, I shouldn't be criminally charged with anything.
Oh, that's a great basis on that one.
Okay.
I love the medical necessity defense. So
yeah,
anything you have to put leverage on it or get the state, especially if you then have a doctor's note or recommendation from it, even if they can't purchase it. Yeah, I'd take that and run with it as a defense attorney.
That's what I'm saying. I think more people need to be signing up for this just for that fact alone. You know what I mean? Especially, you're going to see. I bet you're going to see all of a sudden now a surge of Alabama trappers signing up for this.
As they should.
What do you think, Gary? Alabama.
Well, I think Alabama. I think like Michael said, was a long time coming. I mean, the missteps that this state had were, consistent with, I guess, other states. It never ceases to amaze me that these states kind of operate in a vacuum. They don't learn from the other states' mistakes. This program will fail without flower, as they all do. And also the reason, I don't know if the registry requires you to pay, so why would you pay for a medical card like I do in Florida if there's nowhere to buy it? Plus, in Alabama, you can get much better products in the hemp space. So, we'll see. But I don't see a program being successful without flower and without vapes.
Well, I think, like I said, if I was a patient in Alabama, I would sign up for it just for the fact of the whole legal defense that I would have. You know what I mean? I would do it just based off that.
I don't think people are worried about that, to be honest. I think
people in Alabama are always worried about going to jail for cannabis.
I'd be more worried about being a Jew in Alabama.
Oh man! Oh wow! Wow! What do you think? What do you think Mr. Borgart Sessions is having to say about this today? That's his home state, Alabama. He was a senator there for a while. He is not a fan of that.
You talking about Jeff Sessions?
Yeah, Jeff's. Yeah.
What did you call him?
Berg. I didn't know there was. It's funny. I met him at an event. He was.
His first name is Borgart.
And I walked up to him and said, "Hey, General, I'd like to meet you, Gary Kaminsky. I'm in the marijuana business." And the guy looked at me like I was a piece of garbage and walked away. That's your General right there.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
You know, it wasn't a smart move, those kids, that when they went into his office and decided to smoke a joint when he was still the senator. That was a really dumb move. But, you know.
Was it you?
What's that?
You?
You cut out, Michael. I'm sorry.
I said, was it you?
No way. I would never do that. That's the most dumbest thing. That put it on his radar and like made him start talking about cannabis. He wasn't even focused on that in the beginning until those kids decided to do that. That was the dumbest thing. They put cannabis industry at right in the crosshairs with that dumbass move that they did. And then not to mention, they went in there looking like a clown show, you know what I'm saying? Like none of them even in suits or anything. They're all just in like, you know what I'm saying? In all like stoner wear, you know, hippie hats and all that extraness. It's a real bad look. Real bad look.
That is bad.
Yeah.
That is horrible.
Any final thoughts on this, Alabama? Jesse? Michael, how long until they actually have this program up and operational, do you think? Because like they have to like, all these, whoever is going to get the licenses is going to have to raise money, then they're going to have to build out, and then they're going to have to plant and make products, right?
Like it says, I would say by the end of next year.
And by the end,
time.
you think they'll be able to get? I don't think they'll be able. I think maybe like Q2 of 2027.
What are they going to do with all that flour? They think they're just going to.
They're going to process it all.
There's no incentive to grow good flour. All you're doing is extracting it into gummies.
I feel you, in tinctures. I feel you, they're going to be growing for the compounds as opposed to growing for the actual plant. I'm with you on that. That part is true. But I guess that provides more kind of user error in regards with curating. So then that way, like, it doesn't have to be pretty. They can have subpar growers over there just doing whatever, just learning the tricks of the trade as they develop it.
Yep.
Right. Well, I'll tell you.
To speed.
One point on that. Sorry to interrupt, but one point on that is I guarantee you there aren't any prescriptive SOPs in the regulations on how to extract the flour into oil and create the tinctures and the gummies, notwithstanding the fact that everyone says that hemp is unregulated and unsafe. Marijuana has never had regulations that told people how to do that.
Very, very, very true. Very true. Very true.
Yep.
Well, on that, we are going to roll into our next commercial, and we are going to be right back.
I'm Cole Preston, and today I'm at Blue Island Beer Company for the premiere of my mini documentary on legalization policy in Illinois. I've been following cannabis policy since colorful Colorado legalized it all the way back in the day, and when my home state of Illinois decided to legalize it, I just became enamored. I wondered, what would it actually look like? If you'd like to see how Illinois fell short in achieving meaningful reform in their cannabis policy, you can watch my mini-doc now at colememo.com/mini-doc.
Yes. All right. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.highat9news.com. And again, please make sure that you are following us on X and Rumble. In the event that you can't find us on YouTube, that is where you're going to have to find us, is on X and Rumble.
The Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated.
Michael?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, that was... Oh, and we are back. And we are going to roll right in
to the commissioner himself, Mr. Gary Kaminsky. Gary Kaminsky is a regulatory compliance attorney with over 39 years of experience working in highly regulated industries. For the past 10 years, Gary has focused his practice on the cannabis and hemp space, advising public multi-state operators, hemp beverage manufacturers, and other participants in the cannabis supply chain. Prior to that, Gary was a SEC enforcement attorney, in-house counsel for proprietary trading firms, a broker-dealer, and a principal at several hedge funds. Gary's expertise is in developing, implementing, and maintaining regulatory enterprise risk management systems to mitigate lapses that can cause disruption to clients' businesses. It is none other than Mr. Gary Kaminsky.
Hello. We have a good article about that follows up on the Alabama incompetence with the New York incompetence.
Yeah.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul last week requested the resignation of the acting OCM executive director, Felicia A.B. Reed. Reed's resignation, effective immediately, follows the eve of trial withdrawal of an OCM investigation into Long Island-based cannabis licensee Omnium Health. Officials have claimed the company was illegally renting its license and licensed space to unaffiliated entities and was effectively distributing unlicensed cannabis products. OCM Deputy Counsel James Roger, who had led the investigation into Omnium, was also fired, according to the New York Times. Too often, the Office of Cannabis Management has stood in the way of the market, realizing its potential, including most recently in the case of a pending compliance action that it has had to withdraw, Governor Hochul said in a statement. Meanwhile, OCM Chief Administrative Officer Susan Filburn will move into the role of OCM Acting Executive Director. New York's cannabis market holds enormous potential, Governor Hochul said in the report. It creates jobs, generates revenues, and builds prosperity in communities that were left out of the economic mainstream for decades. Realizing that potential requires strong leadership, a deep understanding of the regulatory framework, and a steadfast commitment to the people of this state. Hochul last year publicly criticized the industry's launch as a disaster, pointing to slow licensing and the proliferation of unregulated sales, and ordered a comprehensive audit of the OCM. Reed has led the agency since its inaugural executive director, Chris Alexander, resigned last May following other criticism by the governor. In some ways, not surprising because from a news and competence standpoint, New York is the state that keeps on giving. But this one was a very aggressive case against some relatively substantial brands that were trying, I believe, to follow the New York laws and regs in launching products. And apparently OCM didn't agree and jumped to the conclusion that they should sue them for $10 million and put them out of business without really having a basis for doing that. And quickly, not only was the case dismissed, but they got fired. So all I have to say is I hope that Governor Hochul, a Bills fan, a local Buffalonian, gets her act together and hires people and holds them accountable to getting this done in a effective and pragmatic way. That's just
Well, I mean, New York is the gift that keeps on giving. I'm not surprised that this person stepped down. I do find it a little humorous that Governor Kathy Hochul has targeted her in that way and said, hey, you have to step down and because her total incompetence and lack of leadership on this issue is a lot of the reason why they're in the position that they're in. And so I would say that, hey, you know what? We need to take it from the top down, and maybe Governor Kathy Hochul should be resigning right along with her.
And that's funny. Don't they say, though, shit flows down?
It does. Yeah, shit runs downhill. Yeah, shit runs downhill. Is
It doesn't really work that way.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Michael, I mean, New York, bro, these people are so ridiculous. They're like, hey, we want to have this open market, da 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 da. We want to make do you remember that they were at the beginning of this? They were touting New York as being the model for the United States of America, and we're going to do everything right and have the most equitable market that anyone's ever had. And technically, they kind of do, because they have the largest free market. Yeah, they have the largest free market in the nation. You know what I mean? So
yeah. It's New York, right?
Yeah.
Always a mess.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not kind of surprised with all the administrative issues and stuff that state has over the years.
Yeah, right.
And in this industry, no matter what it is, without fail, just I don't think there's anywhere that it can be done right. I don't know. I think it's like just an impossibility.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. New York, man. Jesse, what do you think? You're always talking about New York and all the situational drama in regards with New York.
I mean, we already know they've been terrible across the board. they have no. It seems like they have no direction. I don't know what Mrs. How Cool, or however you say her cool name.
Hochul.
No, I know. Hochul, how cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hochul, she doesn't seem to know what she's doing, other than she's collected money somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Oh, she's definitely collected money. Yeah.
And you know what else she's really good at? Deflecting.
Yeah, gaslighting.
She definitely will not take responsibility at all. It's always going to go somewhere else. So it makes sense that she's making someone else resign.
The buck stops there.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. New York had the chance to be one of the biggest and best markets in the country, if not the biggest, and take the cake, and they've just screwed the pooch every which way they can.
They have. That is true. They have mismanaged and literally dropped the ball. I mean, and it's funny because I remember in a while there was the cannabis management, governing body in New Jersey got into a Twitter war with New York's OCM. And New Jersey is doing such a good job overall. Like, they're just crushing it over New York, and people are actually making money out there, and just maybe New Jersey is that shining beacon, but I think Missouri is probably the best state in the nation to be in.
Well, one of the interesting things about New Jersey is that there's a great coalition of operators, and that might be the distinction. Is the operators in New Jersey have really linked arms, and they really work together, and they're very united. I was fortunate to do a brand in southern New Jersey, and that's exactly what's happening. They are very linked up with everybody. Everybody has a united voice. They all show up to the meetings, and they all show up to the events together, and they're very united. And it seems like in New York, it's definitely not that way. They're very divided. There's certain license holders against certain potential license holders, and in New Jersey, it's just not that way.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, on that, we're going to keep this train rolling, and we're going to roll right into our final commercial, and we are going to be right back.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
It's so stupid.
Oh, and we are back, and we are going to roll right in to Mr. Jesse Barney. Jesse's the founder of Barney Design Co., where they can take your brand to the highest plateau that your brand could ever possibly achieve with branding, marketing, and telling the consumer what your brand is actually trying to tell your buyer. That's right, it is none other than Mr. Jesse Barney.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate the intro. My story headline, I should say, coming out of Investors Business Daily, is the opposite of what many people are saying. Marijuana stocks fall after latest Donald Trump fueled rally. Marijuana stocks spun higher in market trade Friday, but declined on Monday following reports President Donald Trump is poised to loosen federal restrictions on marijuana. Plans call for cutting oversight of marijuana products to the same level as some ordinary prescription painkillers. And I would like to highlight that very quickly. All of the propaganda out there says the same thing, that these new rescheduling plans cut oversight of marijuana products. That's the exact opposite. Schedule 1 means there's no oversight because it's not a drug, it's not a medicine, it's described as having no medical value, and making it Schedule 3 would make it have medical value and increase oversight by giving the FDA and the DEA jurisdiction. So very important to note that all of the national news is saying that same thing, that it's going to cut oversight, but it's actually going to do the opposite. The Washington Post, citing 6 people familiar with the discussions, reported late Thursday that Trump has held discussions with House Speaker Mike Johnson. Trump's plans include broadening access to the drug through an executive order that directs federal agencies to pursue reclassification, according to the Washington Post. Again, they're reiterating this broadening access. I don't think that going from adult use to Schedule 3 is going to be a broadening of access. It's going to be a limiting of access. After the Washington Post article, CNBC, based on a source familiar with the matter, reported Friday that Trump is expected to sign the executive order as soon as Monday. So we're all waiting on pins and needles, right? What's going to happen today, if anything, or is this much ado about nothing as it has been for the past several weeks? Following the reports, several marijuana stocks jetted higher in Fridays, some upwards of 50 to 80%. Before falling Monday, and many things came down a nice correction of about 8 to 10%. So marijuana stocks in general have been beaten down by the years of regulatory uncertainty. Most are penny stocks with market caps below $1 billion. The majority of cannabis stocks are based in Canada, where marijuana has been legalized for medicinal and recreational use for 7 years. In the U.S., marijuana remains a controlled substance under federal law, but many states have legalized at least medical use. So then after this, the article goes on to state how much fluctuation there's been in the last 2 days of market operation. So many things went up about 50%, some around 30 or 20%. And I think even the lowest one, like innovative and industrial properties, only went up like 10% on Friday. But I want everybody's excited about this huge jump that happened on Friday, but I want you to put it in context of 5 years. We're still nowhere near the height that we were at in 2021. Stocks are still very, very much down from 2021, when everybody was excited that Biden was probably going to do something for cannabis. And so the marijuana stocks went way up. And then when he did nothing, they crashed super hard. And we're still far below that height that we reached in 2021. We've gotten nowhere close. And then we had a surge on Friday, of course, from the announcement. And then immediately today on Monday, it came down 10%. So look at the whole context. Don't just get all excited that stocks surged on Friday, that's not indicative of what's going on. Look at the bigger pattern here and the bigger path, and understand that there's a lot of nuance to this whole rescheduling thing. There's a lot of reason to believe it could go south on us. So we need to be very careful. And if you've got money to spend on stocks, and look at it as money that you can lose. If you don't have money to lose, don't spend it. So that's my opinion. Be very cautious. Be very careful right now. This could go completely south. We could literally be handing over the entire industry over to the cannabis or to the pharmaceutical industry in one fell swoop. And I wouldn't be surprised if that is what's happening. The way that Schedule 3 laws are written, and they are very specific, no one will be able to distribute or manufacture a Schedule 3 drug without a license, period. Hoping that the states somehow are going to throw it in the Fed's face and keep their markets open, and that they're going to start a fight with the FDA seems like an outside hope. I don't understand where people are really coming from with that, because it's never happened before, and there's no reason to believe that the states are going to be able to beat the FDA. So be very cautious right now, everybody. That's what I have to say. So I'll toss it over to everybody else. I know there's some other opinions here.
Oh boy. Michael, you want to take this first, Michael?
Not really.
Okay.
We're on the opposite sides of that spectrum.
I know. That's why.
No one's ever done it with Schedule 3 before, but people have, sold Schedule 1 substances all over the place before.
Yeah.
So I don't see that happening. I think that they're going to be operating as is. Not going to see any shutdown of dispensaries or True Leaves or Cure Leaves or anyone like that.
Well, we know those two groups aren't going to get shut down, but we're talking about everybody else.
Yeah. I just don't see that. I think, it's going to be outside the FDA. It's still, again, not a federally approved and FDA approved drug. So that's really the big difference that I see regarding them. So we'll see what happens. I mean, again, I hope that it moves to descheduling and it's, off the schedule altogether. But, I think progression is progression. And if we see it moving, we know that it's on the way.
There's going to be a descheduling commission, Michael.
Yep.
That's huge news.
That is the best.
That's huge.
That's the best news.
Huge. That's
possible.
the best way. That's the best Monday news right there.
One of the commenters brings up a point and says, "Don't you think you'll see pharmacies suing dispensaries?" No, that's not what will happen. What will happen is you'll have pharmaceutical companies that have invested billions of dollars into their particular Schedule 3 substances, whether it's Tylenol with codeine or steroids or some opiate. There's hundreds of Schedule 3 substances, and they have billions and billions and billions of dollars invested into all of those things. So those companies are going to want to protect their Schedule 3 status, and having a rogue set of molecules that just get to operate as Schedule 3 substances but be outside of the rules and do whatever they want. I would see the pharmaceutical companies suing the federal government for not enforcing the Schedule 3 laws that are very strict onto the companies that are operating with cannabis under Schedule 3. So that's where it will be very interesting to see what will happen with the pharmaceutical companies and how they react to cannabis's sudden inclusion into Schedule 3 and its also rogue status.
Brian Dombrowski in the chat, he says, what if that executive order gives direction to fix all of this with the Farm Bill?
Well, that would be really cool.
That would be interesting. That would be a good little switch up right there. That would be. I don't think
that would be
they're
a bait
thinking
and
that.
switch, because that's not what he's been saying. He's been speaking about marijuana, and I don't think Trump is naive enough to confuse those legal definitions. I think he knows.
But it's all the same legal definition.
Marijuana.
It's the legal definition though is all cannabis sativa L. So I don't necessarily agree with that, Jesse. Go for it, Michael.
Well,
yeah, and when we're talking about his, whether or not he's distinguishing hemp and cannabis, he did release the True Social, which was, specifically about CBD and which I'd say hemp-derived products. So I don't know. I think it's going to be very interesting, but hopefully he, brings the whole industry together in some respects. But by the descheduling and even the because the rescheduling, I guess, then would probably put hemp into that category where any sort of hemp products that are used for intoxicating purposes would be under that as well. So, see.
It would be cool. I think you could be onto something there, Jason. It would be, and I've said this before. What would be interesting is if it goes Schedule 3 and then that federal legal definition of marijuana becomes this thing that's really medical only, and it's now under medical research, and that's really the only place that it's being used, and it kind of shuts down the whole cannabis industry as we know it, and then open up the market through
the Farm Bill,
hemp, and through the Farm Bill. So that's definitely a potential here. That would be a win-win
shift. That'd be a win-win for everybody. The doctors will get what they want. The people will get what they want.
Dispensaries would just be able to switch to hemp.
It would be totally weed for the people everywhere. It'd be
and
amazing.
I know that switching to hemp is just terminology. It's not actually. It would make all the cannabis that they already use and sell suddenly hemp. And they would just have to make sure it's all THC and it's not THCA and not decarboxylated.
It's all THCA.
Yeah, exactly.
So the interesting thing is, and I was talking to a couple things too. I was talking to a client the other day. He says all the dispensary weed in Florida now that he's seeing that is tested is all over the 0.3% Delta 9.
Yeah.
Which before it really wasn't. And number two, interestingly enough, about the hemp cannabis market issue. If we're talking about some of these big boys being involved in what's going on up there, I did see an article about Curaleaf pulling out of their hemp sector. So they seemingly are banning the hemp sector. Even they announced it now in face of the ban that's going to be in effect in a year. So I thought that was kind of odd when I saw that article that they were moving out. And I know their only store in the country, I guess, is the one here in Florida in West Palm Beach. But interesting, I thought.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. You were going to say something, Gary?
A couple things. Well, Curaleaf, by the way, they're in Total Wine, so I'm surprised as well that they would just summarily stop selling a product that they clearly created a supply chain to manufacture. But I don't know. But I do agree with Michael's kind of perspective that we've had Schedule 1, which just says it's completely illegal, and we've got a state by state team to allow medical and adult use. It's illogical to think that going to Schedule 3 is going to be more burdensome on folks in states. However, there is that language, and I think it's a very confusing thing. And I think it'd be great, Jason, if they did what you said, but that's way too thoughtful. And I just don't see that happening near term.
I have friends in high places, Gary, so you know what I'm saying? I don't think any of this is out of the cards. You know what I mean?
Depends on, what are they smoking, RBK? That's why they're in high places.
I mean real high places, real high positions. I know. I got a lot of friends all over the the swampity swamp. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So
good. Hey, that would be wonderful. I think. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It'd be a very interesting thing to allow intoxicants through hemp and nothing through marijuana. Wouldn't that be crazy?
Anything's possible, Gary. We live in a crazy world. A lot of things, what I'm saying? A lot of things that I thought that I would never see in my lifetime, I've been seeing happen in my lifetime. So,
Gary, I think you brought something up that I can't stress enough, and I really do believe this. It seems very logical to me, actually, that Schedule 1 substances are deemed as having no medical value, Therefore, the FDA is not able to regulate something that is Schedule 1 because it's outside of their purview.
I don't think that's correct, but go ahead.
Well, there's no FDA structure for regulating Schedule 1. That's just
they have no jurisdiction.
There is a structure for regulating substances that are cannabinoids that are infused into food and beverage, and they've done nothing about it.
Yeah, but that's because they're Schedule 1 substances.
That was outside of it, right? And they were instructed to actually create regulation around that, and they never did.
Correct. So they do it now.
Well, that was the interesting thing, and that was the legal argument, right? Was that those hemp molecules are the same, and they were instructed to regulate them, but they never did, and there's confusion about that. But the cannabis industry, as we know it, that's not hemp, is this Schedule 1 substance, and that falls outside of FDA regulation. It just does. And what's interesting is that when it becomes Schedule 3, now there is already laws and regulations that are in place that the FDA operates, and immediately cannabis would be put under those things. Now, as Michael keeps pointing out, there has to be some allowance for things to happen, maybe. So this is where speculation comes in, and I was accused on Friday of speculating about this, but it's all speculation. We don't know what's going to happen. What I'm asking people to understand is that it could be an immediate shutdown, and legally that is absolutely possible, and the FDA could come after everyone right away and say, you need a license or you can't operate. And if that's the case, then everyone's going to be in big trouble. So it's better to be aware of that actual possibility that is legally there already. It's in place. So will they allow exceptions? Maybe. That's speculation. It's all speculation. So it's better to be knowledgeable and cautious.
Makes sense.
Could be.
I think that the FDA's jurisdiction is over FDA approved drugs, and because this is going to be FDA approved, it's still going to be outside the parameters of the FDA. And if those types of issues, I think, were potential issues, I think that we really would have had things like Epidiolex and Marinol and things like that potentially go after all the cannabis companies in the past based on the molecule issue. And when we have the whole plant, and do I see a potential future where all the single molecules maybe end up put into something, and there may be separation of medical and recreational? But I don't see that all of a sudden that the FDA is going to be like, oh, now we control marijuana and we regulate marijuana throughout this country. I just don't see that happening.
See, and I'll tag on to that, Michael, which is, I see what you're saying, and I hope that you're right. But I also see that what you're saying is, you could say it the other way, which is, until the FDA approves a cannabis drug, all of it will be illegal, and they'll just say none of it can be. So they could just shut us all down very quickly, and then now you have the DEA enforcing that, and we enter a whole world of hurt, which would be crazy. So it could go either way on that same sentence.
I guess then we'd be looking at a situation where that case that we were talking about with Boy Schiller filing would actually then be moot now, because then that would be the idea that the feds are going to go after, stop, and try to shut down these intrastate businesses. So then we would have that Reich issue potentially having to go to the Supreme Court, because that issue will then, be huge. So I mean, we'll see. I guess everything's in play. Who knows?
Jesse, do you believe that somebody is the Wizard of Oz behind this
I'm right here.
rescheduling, that's trying to shut down the whole business? I hear what you're saying in positing this scenario, but are you suggesting that there is somebody behind the scenes that is smarter than the average bear, who doesn't like marijuana, and says, all right, we'll give them Schedule 3. This is the best thing for shutting it down?
Yeah, I think pharmaceutical companies are exactly that. I think that we should be very aware that they're not stupid. You have people who are lobbyists and executives and lawyers and all kinds of stuff that work for the pharmaceutical industry and work for very big companies look, cannabis even now is only a $30 billion a year industry. That's nothing compared to what big pharma does. So this is just something that's very, very small and very easy for them to take over. And I do think that there's people whispering in the ear of politicians and wanting this rescheduling rather than descheduling, because it does put it in their hands immediately. It gives them power, and that's what they want. They've been watching this industry for 30 years. They know exactly what's going on. They've been studying and wargaming this. And to believe that they haven't been is like, that seems naive to me.
Yeah, it's more like probably 60 years at this point now. I'm sure, because
even worse.
Cannabis have been coming out a long time ago.
But I mean, as far as watching the legal market try to develop, right? They've been watching it develop and seeing what's happening and who does what, and pharmaceutical industry, they could buy up the infrastructure of the current state cannabis industry like that. Like they have the money to do it. It'd be no problem for them.
Well,
that's not even close.
Sean Savaje, and thank you again, Sean, for filling in for me while I was out in the great red state of Florida. She says in the chat, she says 100% they want to eliminate competition, and it was True Leave on the White House call. Kim Rivers wants it all, and everyone knows that. Now, the article does say that the information came from a staffer that was on that call, so I'm not sure about that part. But Kim Rivers did contribute a substantial amount of money to the Trump campaign overall in regards to pushing Schedule 3 over the top with a couple of other individuals, and she has engaged some people that I know of to help push this Schedule 3 over the top. So I do know that for a fact.
Oh, hold on. Did the computer written contract on the scene get confirmed? Is that what we're talking about?
No, I'm not talking
that episode.
I'm not talking about that contract. But yeah, you're talking about the contract. No, I'm not talking about that contract. No, I'm not referencing that in my statements. No.
So other ones. So she's been hooking out to many people up there.
Yes.
Understood.
Yep.
Understood.
Yeah. She's spreading casting a wide net, Michael. Very wide net. Yes, that's what she does. It's called market capture. That's what the True Leave does best, market capture.
Now I'll say one last thing.
Go for it, Jesse.
I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope that I have my tail between my legs, and everything I've been saying for months and months and months on this show turns out to be total idiocy. I will gladly tuck my tail and say sorry. But I just don't think so. I think people need to be cautious. We do have a super chat, Jason.
Oh yeah, we did. You know what? I missed that. I'm sorry. We did get a super chat in from OG Grandma, who says Schedule 3 is doggy doo doo, from OG Grandma 420, and Sean is saying let's hope we can leverage reschedule into deschedule as an industry before the hemp ban is implemented. Now maybe whatever is going to be the results of the descheduling commission will be the October surprise. Who knows? But I know there is going to be some big surprises in October, because that is just the nature of the beast, and the fact that we have these midterms coming up. So I am expecting some really good things to happen next October of 2026, you guys. So we're going to keep this, but we're going to roll this train right into. And I'm glad that Sean is in the chat, because I have a Texas story to close the show out with today, you guys. And I'm anxious to hear what her and Brian have to say, since they're, out there doing work in the great red state of Texas, where it says the largest medical marijuana facility in Texas opens near Austin, you guys. Look at that. A Texas-based medical marijuana company has expanded their operations with a new facility that's nearly 10 times the size of their old headquarters. The new 75,000 square foot Texas Originals facility opened recently in Bastrop, just southeast of the state's capital.
The Texas Medical Marijuana Facility. That's right, because the Texas Original facility is located at 176 FM 969 in Bastrop. The expansion scales up the company's old 7,700 square foot headquarters, and the base of its operation includes a hybrid greenhouse for plant cultivation. That means they're going to be producing mids, manufacturing labs for extraction, processing and refining, testing labs, packaging, dispensing, distribution, and delivery logistics. The company says the expansion comes at a pivotal time when House Bill 46, passed recently by the state legislature, broadens access to medical cannabis to more Texans. In a quote, they say, "This facility represents the future of medical cannabis in Texas," said Nico Richardson, CEO of Texas Original. "Our expanded operations in Bastrop allows us to serve even more patients across the state, and with the quality expected from Texas Original. As legislative changes under House Bill 46 create opportunities for more Texans to access medical cannabis, we're ready to meet that need." And there has been some Texas teacup expansion because lawmakers voted to expand the state's compassionate use program to include people in hospice and those with chronic pain as defined by the Texas Medical Board. The expansion allows for new changes in how THC can be delivered by approving aerosol and vapor products like vape pens. Current law only allows for products that can be swallowed. And HB 46 also increased the number of dispensaries in the state, and the Texas originally passed a bill in 2015 to allow doctors to prescribe low THC marijuana for people with epilepsy. And over the years, the state legislature has added more qualifying conditions to the program, and HB 46 would also add traumatic brain injuries, chronic pain, Crohn's disease, and terminal illnesses to the list of qualifying conditions, you guys. Well, look at that. Big Texas. Just got another big Texas manufacturing facility, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
We started covering this story on Friday, and Sean, who's in Texas, is very against this company. Apparently, they've worked pretty hard to shut down the smaller businesses in their neighborhoods. So, of course, none of us are okay with that. We want the small mom and pops to be able to exist as well.
But they're going to be producing a whole bunch of Texas mids. Bro, a whole bunch of tumbleweed in Texas in this greenhouse.
75,000 square feet of it.
Yeah.
Yum, yum,
Texas
yum.
mids.
Texas mids, bro. This is. I feel like they should just make that a brand for them. Texas mids, Supply Co.
It'd be smart.
They would be smart.
People like mids.
They do.
They love them. They buy them all day long. Just like they like pre-rolls. They love them.
Brian Dombrowski in the chat. Oh wait, where did he go? Where did it go? Here he goes. He says, "It's about time. Nico is a douche, but I hope he gets those vapes on the market right away." And Sean Savaje says, "We'll start calling Texas OG Texas mids." I'm for it, Jason. Well, you know what? You can't call OG mids because it's just, you know what I'm saying? Just so you know, when it is mids and it is OG, it's actually called faux G. You know what I'm saying? Because it's the fake OG. So that is the proper way to address midsy OGs as faux G. You know what I mean? So just so you know, because there is really only OG can only be amazing. Otherwise, it wouldn't be OG.
Right, so we got Texas Foji weed now.
Yeah, Texas Foji. Yeah, exactly. You know, I think you could even works for cellular companies. You know what I'm saying? With their Foji wireless service.
So she's replying and saying that it's shortened from original. So it's Texas Original is the actual name of the company.
Yeah, but that's cool. They can, you know what I'm saying? That's all good. They can be called
Texas Foji is better.
Yeah, Texas Foji, yeah.
Texas mids, baby.
Yep.
If it's even mids, maybe C grade at that point.
Oh man. Yeah, fair enough. What do you any thoughts on this, Gary, before we close this thing out?
Well, as you guys know, Texas is probably one of the top 5, if not 2, states for hemp.
Mm-hmm.
And that offers a plethora of products. But I don't know. The Texas program has been slow to develop. I'm excited. I'm part of a team that just won a license there.
Yeah.
So I hope that it opens up, and that they do the right thing, and that they ignore Kathy Hochul.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think everybody should ignore Kathy Hochul. Just my personal thoughts. You know what I'm saying? She reminds me of the teacher in Charlie Brown in the Peanuts. Because every time I hear her talk, it's just like womp 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 womp. But it's all good. It's all good. And I do want to remind everybody watching to make sure that if you cannot find us here on YouTube, make sure that you are following us on X and Rumble, because we will be there if for any reason you can't find us here. And we do want to send our thoughts and prayers out to the Reiner family. There was a big tragedy this morning where Rob and his wife tragically lost their lives, and I'm not going to go into that because it's a pretty gruesome thing, and I'm sure everybody will hear about it if they haven't heard about it already. But nonetheless, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. And big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst Cannabis for helping us keep the lights on over here, and thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day, and thank you to Cloud Media partners Elias and Gabriel. They're somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show. Trademarked.